do this. Try not to cry. Try not to cry. Okay. Hi, welcome to a Clone Wars review. And I can't do it. Come on, you're a man. You can do this. It's just one Order 66 scene. You don't have to worry about it. Just do this. You're a man. All right. Hey, we're going to record. Okay, how many times am I going to have to rewatch Order 66 at this point? Like, I don't know if my heart can take it anymore. I had to see it in Jedi Fallen Order, Revenge of the Sith. I had to read about it in the Kanan comics. I saw it in Lego Star Wars, Battlefront 2, 2005. And now I'm seeing it again in the Clone Wars, and it's just as heart-wrenching as ever before.
Why, you little... I got you! Go!
Stop! He's already dead.
Like, I don't know how much more my heart can take at this point. It's like beating a dead horse. But I'm a glutton for punishment, and I love it anyway. So, I guess keep bringing it on, Lucasfilm. So, needless to say, this Clone Wars episode was very, very intense. Like, I knew that we were going to see Order 66 in this episode. And I knew it was going to be emotional. I just didn't expect to be this emotional over it. I had to rewatch this episode like 3 times, and it still hits me. So I guess you can tell by this point that this was a really good episode in my opinion. I think it was just, wow, okay, let's just talk about it. So it turns out I was wrong actually last week about my theory where I showed a little clip comparing the fight with Maul and Ahsoka next to the fight with Mace Windu and Palpatine. If you linked up the screams, the little force screams that both Maul and Palpatine do in that scene, that when Ahsoka and Maul's fight ends, it ends right at the same time as Anakin and turning to the dark side and helping Palpatine defeat Mace Windu. So I assume that maybe because of that, Anakin had turned to the dark side at that moment. That's why Ahsoka was looking up at the sky with a little bit of dread in her face, but turns out that's not the case. Apparently this episode starts off at the same time as Anakin going off to tell the Chancellor that Obi-Wan is engaged General Grievous in combat, so yeah, that was before then. And before Palpatine even revealed he was a Sith Lord, so yeah, I was wrong about that. I do love we get this little scene, though, that's straight from Revenge of the Sith with the Council talking about, Mace Windu saying, "I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi," and that vague prophecy that he seems to give at that moment. But I love that it's extended to include Ahsoka here. And we get a little bit back and forth between her and the Council. How she's like, no, I'm still not a Jedi. I did this as a citizen of the Republic, not as a Jedi or a part of the military. I didn't capture Maul for you guys. I did this because it was the right thing to do, kind of thing. She's like, well, the war could be over soon because Obi-Wan Kenobi is attacking General Grievous right at this moment. And Mace Windu gives this little sly, like, yeah, well, we'll see what the Chancellor says. And when she's like, well, what do you mean by that? And of course, Mace Windu has to be the salty little prick he is. He's like, I'm sorry, citizen, but that's Jedi business. And it's like, dude, get over yourself. Like, sometimes Mace Windu can be this really nice dude, but like, by the time of Revenge of the Sith, he's such a cynical, not even cynical, he's just straight up a jerk. He's so full of himself, and he's the epitome of the Jedi at the time. So self-righteous, so self-consumed that he can't even see his own errors. And of course, Ahsoka doesn't tell them about Anakin and Maul's vision of Anakin turning to the dark side because she doesn't believe it herself. So she just can't conceive of the idea of Anakin turning to the dark side. So she doesn't even bother telling the Council. And Rex brings it up. He's like, you didn't tell the Council about Anakin. She's like, yeah, I know. Let's go. But I love the whole sequence of them leaving Mandalore and going back to their Venator class Star Destroyer, or Star Cruiser, I guess, whatever the term would have been during the Clone Wars, because Star Destroyer wasn't used until the Empire. Like, every scene here should be happy and joyous. You know, Bo-Katan and Ahsoka are leaving on good terms. They shake hands as friends. Maul is captured. They're heading back to the Republic cruiser. Everyone's saluting them. Ahsoka and Rex are giving these beautiful, little touching moments with each other. Nice, kind words and exchanging, friendly compliments and all that. And it's great and very heartwarming, but the music is so eerie because it just builds this tension that's just there. We're like, okay, we know what's going to happen. We know Order 66 is about to happen. Like, let's just get it over with. And it keeps pulling at it. It's like, yeah, let's just drag this out even longer. And you just really feel the tension and the dread. And it's great, from the sound design to just the imagery. It's all great. I love, and as I mentioned before, Rex and Ahsoka share some words with each other during this, and I love what they say to each other. Ahsoka is pondering on the fact that, we're supposed to be keepers of the peace, but ever since, as far back as I can remember, I've been a soldier. The Jedi have been soldiers. She just thinks that's just weird. That's not who they're supposed to be. The Jedi aren't supposed to be soldiers. And yet, that's all she's ever known. So what's she going to do now that the war is over? Like, all of her training has been towards learning how to be a warrior. So what's life going to be like as a peacekeeper? And Rex is like, well, we clones have mixed feelings about the war too. I mean, if the war didn't exist, we wouldn't exist. But at the same time, the war is horrible and it's killed a lot of clones and caused a lot of problems for the Republic. But yeah, even then Ahsoka's like, well, at least one good thing came out of this war, because I got a friend like you, Rex. And they salute each other. It's beautiful. And oh no. Okay, keep it together, Todd. Keep it together. So we finally get to the pivotal moment. Rex goes to go receive a briefing from Republic Command, straight from Palpatine himself. Ahsoka has this feeling of dread in the Force. We get some audio cues from Revenge of the Sith of Anakin and Mace Windu and Palpatine, during their fight in Palpatine's chambers. It's ripped straight from Revenge of the Sith, except for Anakin's line where he says, "What have I done?" It's actually done by Matt Lanter, not Hayden Christensen. Matt Lanter being the voice actor for Anakin. And to me, that was just a nice little touch, because it really just reminds us that it's the Clone Wars Anakin that's turning to the dark side. They're both the same character. It's just, I don't know. It's like, as a fan of the Clone Wars, it hits a little harder, I think. And immediately cutting to the lips of Palpatine as he's like, "Execute Order 66. And then hearing Rex go, "Yes, my lord," and shaking his hands with his helmet at his side. And as Ahsoka approaches, is like, "Something's wrong with Anakin. We got to find out what's going on." And he's just like, he doesn't want to do what he's about to do. And okay, I can do this. I can do this. All the clones surround them, and she's like, "What's going on?" And Rex pulls his guns out, and he's like trying to warn her. Like, he tells her, "Find fives. You find out about fives. Hurry." And fires on her, and the music kicks in. Every time I see this scene, I just lose it. I start tearing up. It's so hard to watch. The fact that Rex is the one that fires on Ahsoka first, I think hits harder than any other Order 66 scene I've ever seen. Because these are two characters we've followed along since the Clone Wars animated movie back in 2008, who have been through thick and thin together, who are the best of friends. And then just to suddenly have him turn around and betray her like that is so heartbreaking. And having all of the clones, including Jesse as well, I didn't even think about this until I saw it again. I was like, wait, Jesse also fired. Of course he did, because he was there with Rex, but he also committed Order 66, and he's been there forever as well. And just seeing Ahsoka having to deflect blaster bolts from all of her friends and then trying to escape, it's so hard. And Rex is crying. He doesn't want to do what he's doing, but he has to, because he's compelled by the chip in his brain. The music, the cinematography, all of it pulls together to just rip your heart out. And it works. And then seeing Rex put on his helmet and giving orders like he's just now an autonomous machine, telling them that all Jedi have to die, and anyone who refuses to participate in Order 66 will be executed for treason, just like the Jedi. And it's like, Rex, no, this isn't you, buddy. And I will admit, this does, I think, cause some problems for the canon. Because if you've watched Star Wars Rebels, you know Rex, when he meets Kanan and Ezra, he tells them that he never betrayed his Jedi General, and he removed his control chip, which insinuates that he did it before Order 66, at least it did to me. And the fact that he said he never betrayed his Jedi would insinuate that, well, he never betrayed his Jedi, but he fired on Ahsoka, so yeah, he betrayed his Jedi. So is he lying to them? I guess you could kind of frame it around the fact, well, Ahsoka isn't technically a Jedi in this scene, and technically Rex's Jedi General is Anakin, not Ahsoka. So it's like, it's true from a certain point of view. And later in the episode, he does get his chip removed, so that's still what happens in the canon. I'll talk more about that in a minute. The rest of the episode is just Ahsoka trying to find out about Fives. We see her like looking through some of the archives, teams up with a bunch of droids to kind of help capture Rex and then get him to a medical bay. And that scene is also very intense because, you know, they knock out Rex. They're trying to find the chip in his brain. Ahsoka has to use the Force and use sort of like that Force prayer that we see Chirrut use in Rogue One. I am one with the Force and the Force is with me. I am one with the Force and the Force is with me. You know, that one. It's a very touching scene as well. And having the clones right outside trying to beat down the door as the droids or little astromechs are trying to keep the door sealed as, you know, they try to operate on his brain, and they finally get the chip out and the clones break through as Ahsoka's barely able to hold them back. She loses a lightsaber in the firefight, and Rex pulls his guns out and helps her take down the rest of the clones and get the doors closed. And he tells her, this is widespread across the Republic. All of the clones are being ordered to hunt down the Jedi Knights, and they're all dying. So it's nice that Rex is back to his normal self, but it's still heartbreaking that he tried to shoot her earlier. And as I was going to say before, you know, Ahsoka and the droids are the one that pulled the chip out of his brain, but from what he said in Rebels, it always seemed to me that it was a choice he made on his own. Because he specifically says to Kanan, Wolf, Gregor, and I, we all removed our control chips. We all have a choice. So it always seemed to me that like after Fives was killed in season 6, who was the one that uncovered the truth about the control chips and all that, it always seemed to me like after that moment he probably got the surgery to remove his chip just to be safe in case, you know, Fives was telling the truth, but I guess not. I guess it's a small thing, but there are a lot of small inconsistencies that kind of just stack up in this arc that I'm going to probably make a separate video on. And like ultimately I think it was better for the story. Again, would it have been as emotionally impactful if Rex wasn't the one that pulled the trigger? I don't think so. If it had been Jesse or another clone we had met in this arc, it would have been sad, but it wouldn't have been as impactful as having Rex pull out his blasters and try to kill Ahsoka. But also, I forgot to mention, Maul still has some awesome scenes in this episode. Ahsoka breaks Maul out to try and escape. She doesn't try to team up with them as he assumes that's what's happening. You know, she goes, no, we're not teaming up. You're my distraction. Go, get out of here. I'm not rooting for you. I don't expect you to live. Just get out of here. Cause some chaos. That's what you're good at. And Maul gets the great hallway scene, just like Darth Vader does in Rogue One, except Maul doesn't even have a lightsaber here. He just uses the Force to straight up rip panels off the wall and slice clones in half, and even like pulls a clone's arm through a closing door so that he can take the comm link and use it to find out where the clones are and escape easier. At least I assume that's what he was doing with the arm. Otherwise, he was just being needlessly cruel, but, you know, that's Maul for you. It's funny, actually, when I saw that scene, I wasn't even thinking about the scene with Darth Vader in Rogue One. I feel like everyone else made that comparison except for me. And I'm only bringing it up because other people have mentioned it. But yeah, it was pretty awesome. And I don't know if we're going to see Maul the next episode. I feel like he probably escaped here. But hey, I could be wrong. Anyways, though, those are my basic thoughts on this episode. It was intense, it was heart-wrenching, and I loved it. This whole arc has been amazing and intense, and has been the best Clone Wars we have ever seen, if not some of the best Star Wars we've ever seen. But hey, if you liked this video and you liked my commentary on this episode of the Clone Wars, maybe consider hitting the like button, and hey, maybe consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the notification bell so you're notified of all my future videos. I post every week, mostly Clone Wars reviews, but now that that's ending, I'm going to have a ton more different kinds of videos coming out. Not just about Star Wars, but about other things as well, so I'll look forward to that. What did you guys think of this episode? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thank you for watching, and have a good one.